Welcome back to Weekend Recharge. If you suffer from allergies, then you know how brutal it has been this season across many of the southern states, including Georgia. This is in the Atlanta area. The pollen's so thick, you got to put the windshield wipers on to clear off your windshield. Ooh, yeah, the count hit 8,918 last Sunday, the second highest ever recorded in the Atlanta area. So who will be sneezing and wheezing today? Well, yeah, millions of Americans once again if they venture outdoors. Well, the good news is the pollen you can see is typically not the pollen that is really the type that really aggravates your allergies, though. Well, let's talk about spending time outdoors because we want to. It's springtime. The sun's out there. Temperatures are warming up. But right now, residents in 42 states and our nation's capital are under orders to stay at home because of the coronavirus pandemic. Cabin fever definitely has set in or will shortly for millions of Americans. So instead of going stir crazy, this self-quarantine period can be a productive time to check the health of what's growing in your yard, namely your trees. Chris Heim joins us with tips on what you should look for. He's a district manager for Davey Tree. Thanks for joining us this morning. So let's talk about this. What are the first things that we should look for when checking the health of our trees and shrubs?
Good morning, Paul. Yeah, this is a great time to get outside and take a good look at your trees. We have plenty of time right now, so, give the kids a pair of binoculars and send them out and have them inspect the trees closely, looking for broken limbs that may be hanging in the canopy that could create a danger from winter storms. Look for signs of cracked limbs, signs of dead limbs, fungal growth, mushroom growth around the tree or on the tree can all be indicators that there's maybe some pre-existing conditions that need to be addressed.
We broadcast across the country, so some people are dealing with melting snow. Some had a very heavy rainfall this past winter and standing water. So what type of impacts do all that have on, I guess, the trees now kind of coming into the springtime bloom and leafing out?
We've seen a lot of issues here in the southeast with the record rainfall so far this spring and a lot of trees toppling over. So it is a concern. If you would notice a tree that might be slightly leaning that you didn't notice before, you got to have it checked out. Poor drainage, if you notice areas of poor drainage, springtime's a good time to start correcting that drainage issues to try to prevent further damage.
A lot of people working around the house these days. Perhaps you want to put in some new things in your yard. So when should we plant new trees?
Spring and fall are the optimal times. It's a great time to get out there and plant some shrubs or trees or whatever. Just be mindful that you really need to prep the soil well to give that young plant the best start you possibly can.
And just like grass and flowers, trees also give off pollen and really explodes during this spring season. So how do we prevent all that pollen from entering our homes?
Well, the biggest thing that will help us is the rain. We noticed that this past week when it rained on Tuesday that our pollen count here in Atlanta went down quite a bit. Wiping off the pets when they come in, keeping your doors and windows, garage door closed, taking your shoes off. It's about all you can do.
And just hope and pray for things to kind of wind down. Chris Heim with Davey Tree, thanks for joining us this morning, talking about how to keep your trees and yard looking good. Well, let's talk about this. The pollen, it is kind of out there for sure. Again, the warmth doesn't really help. Let's take